Hey everybody, G.I. Joe here. Thanks for stopping by the channel again. Wanted to go through a post that was on the forums by Brian Wheeler, who's the PvP and combat lead, and just kind of want to go over and give you my thoughts on this. So let's dive into it. Welcome to Update 29 Combat Preview. Combat team would like to share some new features and updates coming your way that we've been working on for quite some time. Roadmap for what's beyond Update 28, and it's all coming to PTS on the 27th, which is tomorrow, which is probably today when this is uploaded. The champion system. Back when we first designed the champion system, the original purpose was to provide players with a character advancement beyond level 50. We hit that goal in that system, gave your character more power in incremental stages as you continue to play. The system offered the means to augment your power in a very specific role and fill gaps in the build to help you tackle PvE content, battle other players, and aid with crafting. Lastly, the system was originally built to utilize technology we had at the time, which relied heavily on passive abilities to determine if your character should sprint faster, block more, if damage shields were more powerful, etc. Over the years, the technology, combat, and content have all evolved, and due to this, we determined it was time to take a critical look at the champion point system. Once your character reaches level 50, each time you gain a level, you earn a champion point. You can spend that champion point on more magicka regen, stam regen, damage mitigation, or other champion stars that suit your build or playstyle. This is the simplest form of vertical progression. Earn a point, get greater power and tools. While the design is simple, it's also limiting. You spend your points in very specific ways to increase your character already does, whether that be support, damage, or tanking. Additionally, system's options augment these actions if you once you break it down to whether you're using magic or stamina. As such, you're only able to progress with the champion system. You're not getting as much in the way of choice we'd like. As the game progressed from update to update, the champion point cap also increased bit by bit. It allowed you to spend more champion points in various stars, which in turn made your characters more powerful. Term power is something that can be very broad in definition, so let's just use one many definition that relates to PvE content. In this case, we're defining power as being able to complete content faster with reduced pressure on resource management, and in some cases, minimal risk of death. This increase in power causes a very real gap in content completion ability for players who are at champion point cap versus those who are not. This creates several issues ranging from social pressures of requiring a minimum CP to play, while others to creating content which essentially ignores champion bonuses, higher health, to create difficult encounters. These issues effectively nullify the whole point of the champion system. As mentioned earlier, the current champion system relies on passive abilities, and this was largely due to the technology available at the time. On the back end, the game will perform a check on most passive abilities each time you perform an action, whether that be drinking a potion, dodge rolling, or using an ability on your hotbar. The game must also constantly check passive abilities for the right thing at the right time. For example, a champion ability such as Bastion requires the game to check if a damage shield was cast on every action your character does. Multiply that by 30 to 40 passives you have on your character, and the result is a system that puts unnecessary stress on the server. Given this context, the problems we're looking to solve, there are several aspects of champion points that need to improve. First, we wanted a system that encourages horizontal progression, rewards that prioritize gameplay variety over character power by introducing new and unique tools for you to incorporate into your builds. Over vertical progression, rewards that prioritize increasing your character power by improving existing character tools or replacing them with objectively better options to provide a better play experience for players at all levels. We also want a system that reduces calculations per combat action to help overall game performance in large-scale combat situations. And finally, we wanted a system that can expand and evolve with ESO for years to come and provide a wider variety of options for your character. With all these aspects in mind, we're introducing a revamped champion system with Update 29. The new champion system utilizes several types of stars, the locations within the champion system UI that you spend your points in, and how you use them. This includes how stars apply stats to your character and how many champion points are necessary to unlock these stats per star. Some stars require you to spend a set number of points to get a set amount of stats, while others have stages to them. A simple example is a star that has 50 total points grants stamina for every 10 points invested up to 50 points. Some stars also require you to slot them into a new UI element called the champion bar. Champion bar has 12 total slots, 4 per constellation. It allows you to drag and drop, aka slotting, specific stars into it to activate their bonuses. The functionality is very similar to the ability bar. Stars which can be slotted into the champion bar are bonuses that can offer power or augment a playstyle you enjoy. The capability to control which stars you slot at any given time is the main aspect that governs the vertical progression. Other stars which grant stats by unlocking their thresholds and do not need to be slotted will further increase your power vertically. The blend of these two types of stars allows the updated champion system to offer both power and choice while also promoting great consideration of and consequences for your choices. Because there is an element of choice when determining which star to slot versus passive stars that grant stats on their own, there is also a reduction in how many passives are calculated per combat action. As noted, with 12 slotted passives on the champion bar, the calculations required for the combat, especially in high density situations, is greatly reduced. Additionally, most stars that grant stats without conditions function similarly to item sets. These stats are simply added to your character and do not require an ability to drive their function. By doing this, we're able to put the less strain on the server by having these passives function differently than the champion bonuses that are driven by abilities and requirements. Keep in mind, this new system isn't a magic bullet to fix performance, but these changes aid in keeping those champion abilities performant while also giving compelling options for what to slot. The last major aspect of the champion system that we wanted to adjust was room for growth and variety. As ESO continues to expand year after year with new content and systems, we want the champion system to evolve with it. These new slotted passives and the champion bar will greatly support this and allow us to create and add new unique stars that can interact with new or old systems. Another method of expanding on this system is the clustering UI. Most of the champion constellations have a top layer of stars, but within the launch of the updated champion system, there's one constellation that has a few clusters. These clusters are essentially sub-constellations of all new stars. The second layer gives us another canvas on which to add more stars or simply group stars together that suit a common purpose. Each major constellation has several sublayers we can use, and this gives us a great deal of expandability in the future. With the new method of spending champion points, the new champion bar, and the clustering layers, we hope this shows how the updated champion system builds upon the current system and overall improves it. We look forward to reading all your feedback about this great new way to augment your character. Don't forget, you can try it out on PTS starting tomorrow. So this essentially clears up a lot of, and I know why they did this. Before, what you had in the current system was you knew that for PvP, you chose specific things and you didn't worry about anything else. And for PvE, you chose specific things and you didn't worry about anything else. So while, yes, you had a choice of what you could put your stuff into, the meta took it over and said those aren't viable for any of this. So what you need to do is you need to put it all in here, and it didn't allow for any diversity. You cap on top of that, and a lot of it was percentage-based modifiers. So, you'd get 13% of this or 25% of this. And so you'd put 72 points in there to get, 13% extra crit. If you put 73 in there, you'd get 18.2%. But the game is not calculating the point of a percentage, so you're wasting points there. I think what they're doing with this is that you're actually getting flat stats for a lot of that stuff rather than a percentage modifier that is, by putting 5 points into it, 5 or 10 points into it to reach the next stage, you're no longer sitting, at least from a visual perspective, at 15.5 or 15.7. You're just, that you have to put 5 in there before you can get that next one. It cuts down on the numbers that they have to have in there. It's just a tick that they got to get through there within the coding. this will be interesting. I kind of like the way they're doing it. Is that all of your power and your defense and healing is going to be through your one specific tree, because it all ties in together for combat. And then you've got the other things like your crafting and your harvesting and everything. That's all under your crafting. And then on the other side of things, you've got your fitness, which they didn't delve too much into it, but I kind of see that being like your recovery a little bit. So I think that's interesting. I'd really like to see where this is going. I can't wait to reach the patch notes and get on the PTS and kind of dig around with it a little bit. So he goes on to discuss some things about armor upgrades. We're also making some updates to armor passives in ESO. Historically, armor in Elder Scrolls games provides defense against a variety of damage and bonuses to augment your power. These bonuses range from improving your damage output, your healing capabilities, or simply allowing you to move faster. Ultimately, armor creates another set of choices for how you want to build your character. Armor is also combined with the 3 skill lines for each type, granting further bonuses themed around the armor type and the general playstyles typically associated with each. In almost every situation, wearing armor provides a positive change. You're gaining power in one form or another. The only real trade-off, damage versus power, is how much damage you can absorb. Traditionally, in Elder Scrolls games, armor has more effects than simply damage absorption or ability augmentation. There are very real trade-offs for your armor choices. ESO doesn't currently have those trade-offs and is often more about damage than defense. Best defense is a powerful offense. You kill the enemy faster, they will not hit you. They're dead. With this update, we are adding some changes to how the different types of armor in ESO interact with various core combat mechanics like dodge roll, stealth, sprinting, etc. These changes will not be the skill line passives that you traditionally level up. Rather, they will just be part of the armor itself. Kind of like the way they did the werewolf and the vampire, where you now feed. Once you become a werewolf or a vampire, you automatically get that feed and capability. So we're adding the secondary level of armor mechanics so that your choices for equipped gear have trade-offs and no longer simply a matter of wearing gear for damage bonuses or other positive gains. We wanted the armor to have a feel and theme to each of them to support the various playstyles you'd expect armor to support. The bonuses will be listed in your light, medium, and heavy skill lines and are split up into 2 passives. These are not traditional passives and have similar functionality to the new champion stars that grant bonuses without the need to be slotted in the champion bar. The system features several bonuses where light and heavy mirrors of each other, and medium offers its own set of unique bonuses. One example of how light and heavy armor interact with magical or physical damage. Light armor will confer the following bonuses, penalties per piece of light armor worn. Reduce damage taken from magical attacks by 1% per piece. This includes damage of flame, frost, shock, and magicka, but increases the damage you take from martial attacks by 1 per piece. This includes damage types of disease, poison, bleed, and physical. Heavy armor will confer the following bonus penalties per piece of heavy armor worn. Increase damage taken from magical attacks by 1% per piece. This includes damage from flame, frost, shock, and magic, but decreases damage taken from martial attacks, physical, disease, poison, bleed, and physical. These bonuses are per piece worn, and the functionality is meant to provide interesting trade-offs for wearing pieces of specific armor types, not simply providing more damage. We'll provide the full list of bonuses into patch notes. I agree with this wholeheartedly. Right? I don't think anybody wearing heavy armor should run as fast as someone wearing light or medium armor. I also don't think that light armor should be the best at mitigating damage. Now, while the numbers themselves, like the light chest versus the heavy chest, they have the armor bonuses are different. Yes, the ability of magicka users to ward all damage through shields and harness magicka and all this other stuff against a broadsword is ridiculous. if you think about it in that context, you have to specifically spec. You would think that in the concept of the fantasy genre, the mages are going to be trying to neutralize the mages, and when you have two mages fighting back and forth, and they're so focused on one another, what ends up happening is the guys with the swords come around and chop them all up into little pieces. You know, but the way it is right now, that in PvE and PvP aspects, I mean, if you can ward yourself up, then it doesn't matter. You can have 10 people beating on you with a sword, and you're not going to take hardly any damage. You'll take it from the poison and the other status effects, but the actual weapon itself won't do that. Whereas in a heavy armor build, you should be able to ward off a lot of that damage, that physical damage. But when you put electricity to metal, what's it do? It shocks, and it shocks hard, right? So the heavy armor being more susceptible to shock damage is something that is logical as well. Or flame, it gets it hot and then it starts burning your skin, or it frost and it becomes brittle. These type of things, it makes sense in a logical sense, and I think this is a good thing. The medium armor, from what I saw on the live, was that it basically just makes you more of a stealthy character, and it makes you faster and the ability to avoid damage. It doesn't add to your ability to do damage, and it doesn't take away your ability to mitigate damage per se. It allows you to mitigate area of effects, so being able to dodge the arrows as they're coming down, or be like Neo and dodge the bullet, right? Those are, I think that's a good trade-off. It'd be interesting to see, because of what they're trying to do with all this, if they're also going to in the future say that there's no longer going to be a set that drops in only heavy. Will they make it like they do with the starter sets, where the trainee comes in all three sets, or Bahar's Curse, the stuff that comes out of Hugh's Bane? Are they going to make it so that all of those come, they drop in light, heavy, and medium as well, so you could actually get the set bonus by wearing one of each? It'd be interesting to see if that's a path going forward. I mean, could you imagine someone wearing leeching on light armor or medium armor? I mean, that would be an interesting take on it. I'd really like to see what they do with that. So yeah. And then advanced stats. Lastly, we know certain stats are very important to know about, and other stats in the game appear to be hidden. While PC players have access to UI add-ons to display more in-depth stats, these add-ons are not available on console. Let's just say console, okay? As such, we're adding a new advanced stats panel to your character sheet. The new panel shows more stats than ever before, and also puts highly desired stats like spell, physical penetration front and center. The panel also displays percentage versus flat bonuses, so you can really fine-tune your characters. Thank you. I was just, man, I don't know how many times I'd be wanting to tell it, well, what's my penetration at, or for a build or whatnot. I couldn't tell because we didn't have spell physical penetration on PlayStation. So we believe the changes to the champion and armor in Update 29 will provide many years of rewarding character advancement and options going forward. The expandability of this new champion system opens up many new options for the future, in addition to more performant game experience. We look forward to seeing your creative new armor builds in dungeons, trials, and PvP to account for the new bonuses. Thank you all for waiting patiently for the update, and we look forward to your feedback. We'll see you in Tamriel. Again, the biggest stats, the biggest one that I really liked was the advanced stats. I think they're all great, and I think they're all well needed and long overdue. obviously this is going to be the first week of PTS, and so the numbers are all going to be skewed. Um, and so we're not going to be able to, it's going to change after the first week of PTS. So while it looks this way with all the testing that everybody that's going to be on PTS is going to do, the numbers will change, and like they always do, and about the fifth week of PTS, they start to flat or try to even out what they're intending and basing on the performances. So, anyways, that's my take on just the forum post that they put out. I will be going over the patch notes when they're out, and I just want to let you guys see what's out there. Kind of give you a little bit on my thoughts. Again, this is all very generic, so we don't know the actual numbers and the raw data of it. But as we know more, we'll definitely kind of analyze it and look at it from a perspective of what does this mean? How is it going to impact us? What's it going to do for all the things that we become accustomed to? So we'll look and see what goes on. A lot of us will be looking at it, and you'll probably see a lot of collaborations as people start to develop the PvP and work through the groups and dungeons with the new sets and the new champion points. So, be on the lookout for more videos. Go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. If you want to, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch. Stop on by, answer any questions that you may have, and hope you all stay safe, have fun, and remember, wherever you go, adventure awaits.